Okay, let's talk about legacy, more specifically Patrick Mahomes' legacy, which, listen, I think to some degree this is kind of a pointless exercise, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Tom Brady had his career, Mahomes will have his career. What one does not take away from the other one. At the same time, it's kind of fun, right, to compare the two and see, can Mahomes pass Brady in some of the insane records that he has set? Well, I made some charts to talk about it, because really, that's what we want to talk about, right? Well, Mahomes, still, I don't think if he retired today, he would be considered the second best quarterback in football. He has a chance to be the second best and maybe even the best quarterback in football. What does he have to do to get to that point? Well, I made a couple of my favorite things to make charts here. So first, what I've done is simply just compared the two things that we always compare with quarterbacks, MVPs and rings. Total, you see that Brady on the left, Mahomes on the right. MVPs, Mahomes is almost there. Mahomes has 2 MVPs, Brady has 3. Rings, obviously, that's going to be the tough one. 7 championships for Brady, 3 for Mahomes still after a loss to the Eagles. MVPs before 30, Brady actually didn't have any. Now, he did win one when he turned 30. Mahomes will turn 30 this next season. He currently has 2 MVPs, so he's ahead of Brady there, and he's tied Brady in terms of rings. And in fact, Brady didn't win another ring until late into his 30s. If you remember, he had a long stretch where he did not win a championship. So right off the bat, if we're going to compare the two, I still think that Patrick Mahomes probably has had, I would just say he's had the best 20s of any NFL quarterback ever. I think that that's just how I view it. Even with the Super Bowl loss, he went to 5 Super Bowls, which, I don't know, for me, I think losing 2 Super Bowls is better than not getting to the Super Bowl. It's the LeBron James argument, right? I would take 3-2 over 3-0. Because that means, if it's 3-0, that just means you lost before you got to the Super Bowl. Now, of course, the other thing, this is obvious, but I will mention it. Football is a team game. The quarterback is not solely responsible for the championships. That, of course, has to be mentioned. But again, we're having fun here. Who cares about nuance in this situation like this? Let's just talk about the MVPs and the rings. What does Mahomes have to do if he wants to get to where Tom Brady is currently at? Well, let's go to the next chart where if Patrick Mahomes keeps the pace he's on, when will he pass Brady in each of these stats? So first, MVP, like I said, he's not that far away. He already has 2. If he keeps the pace he's on, he would get his third MVP on average at 33.5 years old. Rings is going to be tough. He would have to be at 39.3 and keep the insane pace he's on, but it does still feel possible, right? Now, I will say 39 is the record for oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl if you don't count Tom Brady, who, of course, had this insane stretch at the end of his career. And in total, MVP and rings combined, Brady had 10. For Mahomes to get there, keeping the pace he's on, he would do that at 37, which feels surprisingly possible, right? I mean, again, the thing about Brady's insane career is he had a really good start, really good middle, but then had this just absurd, second life to his career where he ended up having, a Hall of Fame career after he turned 38, which is usually when quarterbacks kind of fall off. So that's what's just kind of crazy about his career. Mahomes, you would assume, won't have that same thing happen, although you never know. Not a guy you want to count out. But even if he doesn't, he still would have a chance if he can keep this insane pace that he's on. Although, going over to this chart now, again, part of what I want to talk about in this video is how much did this loss affect Mahomes' legacy? Well, you see, this is the pace he would have been on had he won Super Bowl 59, had that 4th ring, so MVPs would have stayed the same, but he then would have been on pace to get his 7th Super Bowl by being at 35 years old, which is crazy to think about, and then total would be 34.7. Again, that's just absurd, right? The rate that he is on is ridiculous. The fact that he, in 7 years, has won 3 Super Bowls and 2 more MVPs, we've never seen something like that. We've seen close. Brady was close in his 20s, then wasn't great in his sort of early to mid 30s, and then was, like I said, amazing after that. For Mahomes, he definitely has a chance to catch Brady, as crazy as that sounds, but obviously it's going to be ridiculously hard. I mean, essentially, think about what I'm saying for a second. Mahomes, I'm saying he had the best 20s out of any player ever. He's basically going to have to replicate that if he is going to have a chance to catch Brady at this point. That's going to be really difficult to do, and it's not just him, it's the Chiefs, right? I mean, they're about to have a situation where they had that historic draft a couple years back. Well, not this upcoming offseason, but the next offseason, they're going to have to pay all those guys or let them walk. So they're going to have some tough decisions to make these next couple years. They've done a good job at managing that so far, but Mahomes' cap hit's about to go up a lot more in upcoming years as well. So how will they manage all that remains to be seen, and can they continue to, again, not can they continue to be competitive, because of course they'll continue to be competitive, but can they continue to be this competitive is what remains. So from simply those numbers, and again, there's things that are going to work in Mahomes' favor. He's probably going to lead the league in every major statistic by the time he retires, just because passing is so high up at this point. Although, I don't know, maybe Josh Allen will get there because he does really well in the regular season, and Mahomes hasn't done as well in the past couple regular seasons. That's worth mentioning. But as for the legacy stuff, again, there's my personal opinion, and then there is other people's personal opinion. My personal opinion is that losing in a Super Bowl is impressive. Getting there is impressive, and that's something we should put as a point in your point basket. I don't know. But you know what I mean. There are people who disagree. There are people who point to LeBron James's finals losses and consider that a negative instead of a positive that he at least got there. I still think one thing that, does kind of hurt Mahomes and gets brought up a lot is he did go 0-2 against Brady in the playoffs. That gets brought up. Another thing is, and I don't think it's totally unfair, is some Super Bowl stats, which I think the overall numbers ended up kind of being okay because he had a really good garbage time performance. But there's no denying it. Like, playing bad in a Super Bowl it's a point against you, right? It is. And I thought he played bad in this game. And there is now, again, people are going to say, well, he's now been blown out multiple times. Brady never got blown out. Sure, but he lost to the Giants, what was that, 14-10? Okay, they scored 0 points, they wouldn't have gotten blown out of that game. So, it's not fully fair there either, right? Or no, it was 17-14, but still, you get what I'm saying. And that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, is because I feel like everyone who talks about this is going to talk about it in the dumbest way possible. And again, I'm not exactly, you can't talk about the GOAT argument in a smart way. It's not possible. It just really isn't. But I'm trying to at least make it a little bit more than that. So again, what do I think? Try to put a bow on this weird video that I've made. How will this Super Bowl affect Mahomes' legacy when it's all said and done? I mean, people will point out, oh, he played bad in this Super Bowl. They got blown out. They've been blown out in multiple Super Bowls. It will be something that gets brought up. Whether you think it's fair or unfair, whether I think it's fair or unfair, that's going to be something that's mentioned. So, to some degree, yes, this game did hinder his legacy. I think this season still definitely helps his legacy. The fact that he's been to an extra Super Bowl, went to 3 straight, went to 5 in 6 years and won 3 of those. I mean, come on, that's crazy. And to me, what the conversation is going to be, and what it's always going to be, when you're trying to catch someone like Brady, who had longevity that we've just never seen before, winning a Super Bowl at 43 years old, and then having an MVP caliber season at 44 years old, that's something that we've just never seen before. That's what's going to come down to, is can Mahomes it's not going to be can he play great, because he'll play great. It's can they consistently be this good, and for how long, which is something that we've only seen once before. But, I mean, again, there's also something where, there's the old expression of if you shoot for the stars, even if you don't quite get there, you're still going to get somewhere pretty high. That could be the case of Mahomes as well. So, I don't know. But those are my thoughts on this. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts on how this impacts Patrick Mahomes' legacy, which is such an ESPN thing to even say. But I don't know. It's still a fun conversation, I think. But yeah, those are my thoughts. What are yours? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.